Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics. I'm one of your hosts, Angel, with John
How's
Pepe.
it going, Angel?
It is all good. It's Monday.
Yes.
It's a new day. It's a
And
new
there's no
week.
snow. There's no snow falling today.
Dude, it's just this freaking snow. And I think like next Wednesday or something, or sometime this week, it's supposed to go up to like 70 degrees.
I know. I
I
know.
cannot wait because and then I'm gonna start complaining about the fucking heat.
But the heat, yep.
Oh, jeez. But you know what? I honestly, the rain is coming, and I'd rather have the rain than all of this freaking damn snow.
Because it melts it. It's
Um,
nice. It's nice to look out for about a day, but when it messes things up like it did last week, yeah, it's not fun.
yeah, it bites, but it's all good. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. So, welcome guys to another episode of the Indie Creative Comics Podcast. If you are brand new to this podcast, it's pretty much just John and I going over everything that's not DC or Marvel. That world has a ton of shit going on over there. So if you want some of that, go get it. We deal mostly with the independent, small creators, creator-owned stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening lately that's really exciting. Even coming out of Comics Pro, which we're going to talk about a little bit about as well. So we have, just a couple of quick announcements before we get started. So next Indie Creator Spotlight, dude, I can't believe it's cool that a bunch of people have reached out, but it's like a whole March is like booked out every
I know.
Monday. I was
We
going to
we
reach
had
out
to
to you to
add
see if we
one,
could start to.
and we had to add one for a non-Monday. We got two interviews this week, right? So
Yes, yes. So I still
yeah.
get some more inquiries, and I might possibly just see if we shoot for some Thursdays as well, because that's the only other time that we have. But really excited. We're gonna have Joe Bruce on, who is co-founder of Zenoscope, which is pretty cool because I think it's him and
Mhm.
Ralph Tedesco that I believe. So they've got some really exciting stuff going on. It'd be really interesting to pick his brain too about this whole, Diamond Fall and where they stand and what
Mhm.
they're doing. And, they've had crossover to TV with some of their stuff as well. So that'd be kind of cool to talk about as well.
And
So
they even, licensed comics are big. I know I'm talking to licensed comics today.
yep,
And
yep,
they used to do some licensed comics, a far less
yep,
now. But that's going to be something I want to talk about too. Like, what was that like transitioning from out of that and into doing more
yeah.
original stuff? So
Yeah, and see how they're getting back into sort of like the mainstream distribution because I know they were doing stuff by themselves for a little bit. So
yeah.
yeah, look at what we're looking at picking his brain. So Joe Brusha, Zenescope Comics, really looking forward to that indie comic spotlight. So look out for that as well. Other news today,
Happy launch day!
yeah, happy launch day. So Project Shadow Breed #2. I have my little reader copy over here. It is live. It's done and finished. So we've launched today. We've already had some people already signing up for it, which is absolutely fantastic. If you missed issue #1, no worries. You can catch issue #1 there as well. So just go to projectshadowbreed.com. I believe the campaign is going to be up for the next 30 days. There's some really cool stuff in there. I put one limited tier up on there that allows you to get a whole bunch of stuff for a discounted price. So you might want to go over to projectshadowbreed.com. Yeah, give us a look, give us some support and some love there. That'd be nice, in that respects. So yeah, so really quickly, so Joe Bruce, look out for that for Zenoscopes. And then our Project Shadow Breed Kickstarter campaign has gone live today. Thank you guys so far that have supported. And for those of you that are considering, please, projectshadowbreed.com. Cool. So those are quick announcements. We do have a bunch of news that I want to go through because I think last week you weren't here. I
Yep.
was all by myself. I was sweating my balls off
You were
because I was
scared.
like,
I know.
I was scared that I was going to start talking to myself and asking questions and then answering myself. So I just tried to like zoom through it. But a couple of things. So yeah, it's crazy like how almost every single week there's sort of like this announcement of someone passing from us growing up, and it just reiterates that we're just fucking getting older. And our childhood is slowly but surely, or even our young adulthood is slowly but surely leaving us. Robert Duvall,
Robert Duvall.
dude,
Yeah,
it's
I
funny because
know.
I always used to get him confused, and they look nothing alike with Harvey Keitel.
Oh,
And it's
interesting.
they don't even look at
Not
all.
at all,
I
but
think it's demeanor or the roles that they could possibly play,
yeah.
that kind of go back and forth. But yes, dude, he was this. I mean, I started, and I know people are gonna hate this, but I started watching Godfather, and I could not finish it. I couldn't finish it. I don't know why. It's one of those things I think where, yeah, you can appreciate the cinematography. You can appreciate like how big that film must have been when it came out. But if you didn't watch it then, just like Highlander, if you didn't watch it then, I think it doesn't resonate as
Yeah,
much.
hits weirdly, yeah. And I mean, so being Italian American, that movie was always kind of playing in our house at various times. One way I do like to watch it, there's a chronological cut of one and two, so it does it all in chronological order because two is very heavy on flashbacks,
Right.
and so it's a movie that I have been watching since I was a kid. I haven't really
Right.
gone back in a few years, but it is definitely, yeah, it is an acquired taste.
Yep.
It
Yep.
it is it, it,
But
it it's one of
really
those
quickly,
weird.
really quickly, I just want to put this up because there was somebody who posted something that was
Yes,
kind of dumb. But
but
then
this
this guy,
person's
Speak
good.
Gideo's
Yes,
18. If you're a real person, thank you, bro. I mean, yes, there's some
we like
idiots
our
out there.
videos too.
Dude, I
Thank
will
you.
ban people right away. I don't care.
I've
Just,
noticed. I've noticed.
yes, stay home.
so
Yes.
so yeah, so it's something I haven't really revisited in a few years. It's one of those weird movies for me personally because it is a movie about the 40s but very obviously filmed in the 70s.
Right.
So you have James Caan, who is a one of the furthest things from Italian, and B, what looks like he's just wearing 70s clothes with his oh, we know him.
Oh,
Hey.
hey,
Um,
John DiMaggio.
Thank
Yes,
you, John.
brother. Thank you, John. Thank you for sticking up for us, bro.
Yes.
Right.
He's John DiMaggio sticks up for good people. We'll get to that a little bit. So yeah, so he's got like his 70s hair. It just there's certain aesthetic things that still don't jibe with me.
Mm.
But it is a great movie. I think a big disappointment, although was not only was Godfather 3 a disappointment, but another big disappointment was that Robert Duvall wisely chose to stay out of that. But so many more movies that he's done that is just
Yeah, dude. Days of
incalculable.
Thunder, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You got Deep Impact. You got Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage. I love those. Like, he was a really good supporting character.
Mm-hmm.
Always believable. I think he worked with Tom Cruise again later on in Reacher,
Mm-hmm.
which I really liked as well. And then all his other Phenomenon with John Travolta. Really good. He's
Mm-hmm.
really good dramatic actor.
He was always would play the everyman character. The closest I think he got to an action movie role, because remember a lot of guys do fall into that action movie cliche trap, especially
Right.
as their careers go on. He avoided that. Closest he got was the army captain in Apocalypse Now, with
Oh,
the
yes. Yes.
iconic
Yes.
I love the smell of napalm, smell of victory, like, yeah, cemented himself with that moment in film history. There's no doubt.
Yeah, so definitely a tremendous loss there, but you know what? He's gonna do his thing up in the skies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
uh,
and along in the acting world, another one that kind of slipped by unnoticed, but a great character actor, really was terrifying in certain roles. And
mm,
if you remember Tom Noonan, he also passed away.
yes, yes, that's
Yep.
freaking RoboCop 2.
Right, RoboCop 2 villain,
And then
Frankenstein and Monster Squad.
so all right, so here's the deal. So I
Yeah.
completely forgot about that movie, and then my colleague at work reminded me of it, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't remember seeing that movie." So I watched it the other day,
Wait,
and I
Monster
was
Squad?
like, "Oh, the whole thing." I mean, it's just horrible, just because it was trying to be like Goonies with monsters.
With monsters, yes, yes.
But Goonies didn't take itself seriously because the kids were silly, and even the mobsters to some point were silly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they were mean, but they weren't like if you watch the Monster Squad, it's two different movies. Like Dracula thinks he's fucking Dracula. Like he does no sense of humor.
Right.
He's really dark
Duncan
in
Rieger's
that
a
respect.
really good Dracula. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like there was two different movies going on in that movie.
and,
And
and
then
and Frankenstein, as played by Tom Noonan, is great,
yes,
but
yes,
he is very much he takes on the sloth role from Goonies.
yes.
He's the one that bonds with the kid. And my absolute favorite thing about Monster Squad is
Wolfman's got nards.
no, not no. Is that it is so of its time, because one of my favorite things in that movie is there's the one kid, the cool kid, right, the punk kid,
Yep, yep.
who is always smoking a
Smoking.
Marlboro cigarette,
Yes, yes,
15 years old, in a big movie for kids.
yes.
That would never fly today.
No.
That to me is such a great
Wait.
cementing of that era.
Black leather jacket,
Black leather jacket,
blue jeans,
blue jeans,
rolled
Marlboro
up,
cigarettes.
white socks, penny loafers, and Marlboro cigarettes.
I love it.
Oh
I love it.
man, the 80s were
Um,
fucking fantastic.
but Tom Noonan, to me, the standout role, and I think to a lot of people, is Manhunter, the Michael Mann
Oh, that's right.
first attempt to adapt Red Dragon. Well, Michael
Mhm.
Mann's only attempt, but the first time that Red Dragon, the Thomas Harris novel that introduces Hannibal Lecter, was put on screen. Film called Manhunter. William Peterson is in it. Brian Cox plays Hannibal Lecter in that movie. Very small part, but Tom Noonan is just terrifying and yet sensitive in
Yes.
his role
Yeah,
as
yeah,
the Tooth Fairy Killer.
yeah.
Great movie. You haven't seen it, definitely check it out.
Similar
Another
to
movie
like
that another movie
RoboCop
wears
2.
its
You
80s
say
on
that.
its sleeve, but yeah,
What?
same. Yeah, another movie that wears its 80s on its sleeve,
Yes,
Manhunter. There's
yes,
no
yes,
doubt.
yes, yes.
But yeah, very similar role in RoboCop 2. I would say.
Yeah, because he's the psychopath who just has his gentle side as well,
Yeah.
but it's crazy as shit. All right, and yeah, and then finally, just recently, Jacopo Camani,
Mhm.
an artist. He worked on X-Men Red, I think Hawkeye, some Deadpool stuff. Image Comics, he was on Nomen Omen for their creator-owned stuff. 48 years old,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
I mean that's yeah. I mean, from what we understand, it's complications of heart surgery. But gosh, I mean, it's crazy because I'm big on watching like Dr. Mike. I don't know if you know who Dr. Mike is. And then even like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll follow these guys. And it's like up to like the 1850s or whatever it was, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit later than that. You had life expectancy was to about 45. Before that, it was even less, right?
Mhm.
That's crazy. So then you got the discovery of modern medicine, and they've almost been able to double that. In this day and age, when you have somebody who's passing away at, and it's not a small amount of people, it's a significant amount of people that we've seen in their 50s. I mean, look at Chadman Boswick. I mean, he died in his 40s from cancer and stuff like that. What's his face? Just passed away recently as well. They call him McSteamy. I don't know why I know that. I hate that I know that. Um,
Um,
from Grey's Anatomy.
Eric
Eric
Dane,
Dane, yes.
movie
Uh,
Madrox, the
dude,
multiple
he
man.
was, I think, 50.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's young. There's still at least another 25 to 30 more years that should have been on there. So
yeah. It
it-
used to be.
it's,
It used to be the only time you died when you were 50 or younger because you were mauled by a bear.
that's it.
And now,
Yes.
it's just yeah.
And now we killed all the bears, so there's no more. But yeah, so unfortunately, as dreary as it is, we try to remember these guys for the wonderful work that they did, and a lot of the joy that they brought to our life, whether it was from the page or from the silver screen. It's crazy because I mean, you don't think you miss it, and then all of a sudden you start watching a movie that Robert Duvall's in. You're like, holy shit, he's fucking actually really, really good. And you're just gonna miss that. So, yeah, different times. All right, moving on. Next thing. So, Comics Pro happened. I think not. I think last week or so. It's either last week or the week before. But basically, it happens usually within the first quarter of the year. And this is basically a collection of distributors and publishers. They get together with retailers to kind of let them know what's planned out for the rest of the year, in that respects. And so retailers can go and get feedback, and then they also get swag and an insight as to what's coming up for the upcoming year. So there was a couple interesting things. There's a lot that came out of it. There was a couple of things that stood out for me. Number one, Boom Studios, going back to returnable covers.
Hmm.
So for you guys at home, it really doesn't mean anything, but for retailers, it allows them, because a lot of the times incentive covers that need to be purchased after buying a certain amount of the main cover. So having the main cover returnable from Boom Studios allows retailers to buy significant amount of covers. So say they have a 1 in 1,000, but you have to buy 500 copies. If you're not selling 500 copies of that book, there's no way a retailer is going to buy 500 issues. But if they invest $500 into, getting a returnable cover A to get a 1 in 1,000 that they may sell for a higher price, it may be feasible for them. So them going that route, kudos to Boom Studios to allow retailers to be able to do that. It's a really kind of it's an iffy kind of thing because you don't know if it's going to work because I mean you got all these copies that are going to be coming back probably if the book's not selling. But on the retailer side, I usually see it as a win-win. That was one of the things that came out of it. Robert Kirkman's keynote on there was really really cool. If you haven't had a chance to hear it, you could probably find it somewhere on YouTube. If I can find a link, I'll attach it to this video. But just the really stand-up guy. We talk about him all the time because this is a guy who really loves comics and got into the industry because he loves the medium and wanted to be part of having the medium sort of like take its second breath and move into its next evolution. Not as far as like technology or anything like that, but storytelling wise. And I think one of the things that it's funny because it's paraphrasing, but he was sort of like fuck Batman kind of thing. Like Batman and these big characters that have been around for a while are going to be there. And I think he was talking to creators who have ideas of their own, stories of their own that are like really embedded deep inside. And get those stories out, tell those stories. There's going to be an audience for it. You have to be really diligent. You have to be really tenacious to break into the industry your own way. It's not the 70s, it's not the 80s. You don't have to go and show your work at a convention or submit it to one of these guys. If you want to do the work, get the work done and just get it out there. There's endless possibilities, which is really cool for him to say. He's really pushing for indie creators to step up and do their thing. And I think the hardest thing, and we talk about this a lot, is just the consistency with independent creators. It's not freaking easy. If you're not doing it full time, it's even harder because you got your full time job, and if you got a family that you're dealing with, then you got your family on top of that, and then comes your passion for drawing comics or writing comics or whatever part of the comic or creative team that you're part of that process. It's really, really difficult. And passion is only going to take you so far. It's going to be consistency, discipline that's going to give you longevity in this business. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be finished in this industry. It needs to be finished. You can always get better as you produce more throughout, which is really key. So yeah, so he really cool keynote announcements that he made. He's got the license for Mask Crusaders working overtime. Yeah, he's gonna bring them into the Energon verse, so it's just gonna get bigger. It's fucking crazy.
That's a great fit, though. I think I'm
think so
glad
too.
that somebody finally thought of that because that is such a no brainer.
Yep,
Because Mask is basically a combination of the GI Joe
yep,
concept with the Transformers. It's a
yes,
really really good call on
yes.
that.
I
Uh,
had I had the car, forgot what it was called. But it had the freaking wings, not the wings, the doors just went up and then it flew
yep,
kind of thing, which is
with
really
and yet
cool.
Matt Tracker was the
Yes, Mad
Matt
Tracker.
Tracker. Yeah. So
Um,
it's funny though because probably the biggest book coming out this Wednesday is going to be a 20-year-old reprint of a book that Robert Kirkman wrote, teaming up Invincible and Spider-Man. So I think that's really kind
oh,
of funny. His keynote address happens, but yeah, this I've talked about this before. His stock was so high in the early 2000s. Not only was he writing the Marvel team up book for Marvel, but he was also he had started Walking Dead and started Invincible.
right.
Invincible was going like gangbusters. So Image allowed him to use Invincible in a one-off issue of Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man. And that's finally getting an official, widely released reprint this week. with
That's
some
funny.
new covers with
Yeah,
Todd
yeah, yeah.
McFarlane, and so it's kind of funny. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. But you know, he's a champion for the medium, so it's cool.
100%.
Then he also has a new superhero comic book coming out called Terminal. I think we have some ash cans coming in this week for that. Not sure if they're sold out, but I think most of the retailers did get the ash can for that book. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So there's some really great stuff that came out of there. You can find resources online to find out what's coming out from Comics Pro. And you know, we're not shitting on DC and Marvel because obviously we still read that stuff. The Absolute line from DC is probably one of the best things they've done in the last decade. I mean, DCKO is actually still going strong too, which is weird. I thought it was such a weird concept, but it's working well. But the Absolute line has been great. I think the only concern that I have is I don't want to oversaturate it. So I know we have Absolute Green Arrow coming soon, but I think Green Absolute Martian Manhunter's ending, and then
Yeah.
that's coming in. So as long as it's not like 1,000 titles, because it's funny because how long has it been since we had like, you know, eighth printings and ninth printings and 10th
10
printings,
printings.
but not just printing them, but they're actually selling because people are actually reading them,
Yeah.
which is insane. So it's grabbing a brand new audience, and anything that grabs a brand new audience and brings them into this world and keeps them there, I'm all for it. All for it.
Well, the absolute really quick on this, and we'll kind of touch back on this with what I have to talk about a little bit. But the interesting thing with Absolute Batman was, again, concept that everybody kind of laughed at. Oh, DC is finally doing their version of the Ultimate Universe, right? But then it was like, well, look, Scott Snyder's coming back to write Batman after not writing superheroes for 3 years. So, okay, great. So people laughed at the concept. In specifics, Absolute Batman #1 comes out, knocks people's socks off because it's actually good. That book had a print run of 150,000 copies, which in today's day and age for comics is really good, right? The book took off so quickly that by issue 15, it's running a print run of 300,000 copies.
It's crazy.
So that's the thing is, so you started to see, you know, even before all that, like first issue prices start to skyrocket, right? And that's part of it now is the people who got in a year or so after the book started have that FOMO. They want to catch up, but you know, 30,000 versus 150,000 by that point, like that's not a lot of them to go around. And so churning out 10 printings at least of issue 1 ensures people get in on the ground floor of something, even though they didn't at the time. And it does satisfy the people who still want the floppy. The trades are out, volume 1 and volume 2,
which is crazy because the trades are out.
People want this. People want single issues. And they don't care if it's a 10th printing. They want to get the book. They want to read it. Yes, there's some speculators out there holding on to this stuff because speculators, but there are so many people who are just loving what this book is doing, this book specifically, that it really, you know, again, it has really made a mark. It's made an impression, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. So kudos to whatever they're doing there. So like I said, we're not shitting on them. It's just not our focus, and you know, we still read their stuff and stuff like that as well. I know that you want to talk about this as the last thing on here. Before you start to, you know, talk about it, I just want to say I hate them with all my heart. Just speculators and scalpers. And that's, you know, there's people that collect, and I get it. Collectors, I don't have anything against. I think it's the people that, you know, take advantage of this part of the industry. And this is the third party part of the industry. And it just really, really sucks that it has to happen, and people are out there to make a quick buck. So if you don't know what we're talking about, John's going to talk about it a little bit in regards to kind of where we started. It started with like Dork and then into White Sky.
Yeah. And you know, maybe we're partly responsible for some of this because we did review Dork when it came out, but no, that's a joke. Yeah, this is my
we influenced that book.
This is my soapbox segment. I'm gonna call this "What Are We Doing?" Okay, so here's the thing. few weeks ago, this book, Dork, comes out by Brett Bean, who had worked with Scotty Young on I Hate Fairyland. Really fun book that has elements of I Hate Fairyland, as well as elements of a book, Barbaric, that we really like. And it was really fun, subversive, cutesy, but violent, right? It was just really, really just hit a lot of spots. And it was really fun first issue. Was it worth $100 day of release fun and good? No, it wasn't. But that's what happened to this book. So then 2 weeks later, White Sky also comes out from Image, so same company, and White Sky has all the it is like if you had AI say, make me the comic that might be the next Walking Dead. If your cover is a guy with a shotgun and a cowboy hat shooting at zombie ghost, the log line is Walking Dead meets Last of Us. Instead of zombies, it's ghosts, right? And this book blew up day of release, sold out day of release. I mentioned John DiMaggio earlier. He actually had started a real kind of interesting thread on social media in regards to this book specifically. I don't want to get into too details of that because it gets very little store specific, but basically, here's the thing is that if a retailer who has been in the business long enough tells you read the book and flip it now, you're gonna be happy. I would listen to that retailer. They're not trying to pull a fast one. They're trying to be open and honest with a customer, and that is sort of what this thread was about. And I think that that's 100% right. Like, I could have flipped my copy of Dork. I gave it back to the store because I knew they needed it for other people that were asking for it. Like the book, didn't mean as much to me. White Sky, I could have grabbed a copy when we were down to the last couple copies. I didn't, because again, I do this because I like reading comics. I like the stories. I like the medium, not a flipper. And I don't have a problem with people who are flippers. But when something happens with these two books specifically from the same company, I start to get a little itchy and nervous because there's a thing is you have your order window that's about 2 to 3 months before release date. So from solicitation to release is about 2 to 3 months, right? So you have your order window, and then there's a final order cutoff about 4 weeks before release date, so that retailers can tweak their numbers based on customer input, right?
Right.
And whatever happened with these two books, somebody knew what the final order cutoff numbers were going to be in combination with the initial orders and said, look at these two books. They are severely under ordered. These two books snuck in on the radar. So again, I was talking about 150,000 copy print run, right?
Right.
So these books, very low print run. Of course, these books were going to sell out the week of, if not day of sale in most stores, because they were very. Brett Bean's a name, but he's not a Scotty Young name, and Scotty Young is not really enough. He's not working on that book, so he's not enough, I think, to push that over the threshold for certain retailers, right? So this is where it gets a little weird. I'm not accusing anybody of anything.
I fucking am. No, you're weaving around it, and fuck that. Like, somebody knows the numbers, and I think you're right. I think people are looking at low print runs of books that are good. I mean, it's nothing that we haven't read before.
Right.
I mean, we really enjoyed the stuff that we read, but it wasn't anything that was like wow, this is going to be the next big hit or whatever it is. There's something or information that's out there for sure, and I feel this, that someone's using to freaking say, okay, you know what? This only has a print run of 10,000. Let's leak that out. Let's get, and then let it be whatever it is. Gets leaked out. People go onto eBay and say, advanced copies. They're holding them.
They're selling them before they're doing
before they even come out.
Over cover markup.
So now cover price $4.99 is now $45, $50. Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah.
There has to be something where you cannot sell a book that's come out within the first 30 days for more than cover price, even on the fucking third-party market. That's crazy.
That was bad idea. That was one of their initial
things. But this is the problem, right? So then you have people that are being taken advantage of because of the FOMO. They don't want to miss out on possibly this next big thing, so they're paying $45 for a book now that's not going to be worth fucking $3 30
Mm-hmm.
days from then. A
Yep.
lot
Yep.
of that shit has to be flipped over real quick. So I don't even want to say kudos to the people that are making money right off the bat, because that sucks to the people that are buying this thinking that it's an investment. Not everybody is thinking that, but the ones that are, they're getting screwed over.
Yeah.
It's like the same people that buy fucking New Mutants 97 facsimiles thinking that it's a freaking first print for $200. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And, and so now, but this is what it disrupts not only that market, it also disrupts the retailer market, because now you're in the store. You're in the store every single day. So you're getting phone calls. Hey, do you have Dork number one? And this is how you know that you have a flipper on the phone as somebody who wants to read a story.
Mm-hmm.
No, we sold out of it, but we have, a second print coming out in 2 weeks. No, I'm okay. I don't need a second print. I want a first print. If they want a first print, they don't want a second print, they don't want to fucking read the book.
Right. Right.
They want to fucking either flip it, or they want it because it's worth whatever it is. So this is what you have. You have people calling the store, hey, do you have White Sky? No, we're sold out. We have printers coming in. Oh no, don't worry about it, kind of thing. But you don't get that with what we were talking about before with like Absolute Batman. Do you guys have any copies? Yeah, we have second print, third prints. They're coming in for it because they want to read that fucking book.
But even subsequent printings, of that bigger Batman book have also skyrocketed in price as well.
Yeah, well, because those are less. Those
they're
are
still
less.
Because then now you get the thing where
Yeah.
second print runs are usually lesser than the first, so then they become more desirable. And then it has that ripple effect where it's affecting Bleeding Hearts. So all of a sudden we got people coming in, they want to buy more than one copy of Bleeding Hearts, a DC Vertigo book, right?
Yep,
that was
yep.
good.
Yep.
But again, and then you have companies
because of what's being reflected on. Listen, people, do me a favor. Stay the fuck off eBay. Just stay off eBay, because that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's coming from people fucking pricing up the book on eBay, and then people actually buying it. If you don't buy it at that price, that book will not sell at that price.
And you also have people who genuinely do want to read these things that do get shut out. And then what does that cause? That causes them to lose interest. Well, if I wanted to read this book and now I can't go to my local comic shop and get it when I want it, or I have to wait, like, no, I'm sorry, this game's not for me. Or the people who waited too long, like you said, to sell their books, and now they're burned, or they paid all this money for a book, and then that book goes down, and they feel burned. No, this isn't for me, and that's a problem. And here's the thing, man. See, books like Ignition Press, every one of their number ones have been fantastic, but you don't see Ignition Press lighten up the number ones on Ignition Press, because Ignition Press is doing that still very rare thing that publishers do, returnability on first and second issues. So that all out the gate, people know those books, there's a lot of them out there. As great as they are, they're not worth your investment time. No, but they're worth your reading time. And so again, it just really.
But you don't. It's not an investment. It's not an investment.
I know,
because those books are not going to be worth anything 6 months down the road. If by chance it does get picked up as a television series or a movie, there's a slight possibility. But even that happening, I mean, I have fucking Omega Man issue number 3, the fucking first appearance of Lobo. It's maybe $60 or whatever it is, and that's just because he's coming out with Supergirl. But as soon as that movie's over, guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna dip back down. That's a book from the '80s.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a book from this year. It's not gonna hold value, and that's where my concern. But this is not anything new. I mean, we look at the later years of publishing. So we'll even say Wizard, for instance. If they're writing article about books that they're pushing, as opposed to what they used to do in the very beginning, which is almost everything, then all of a sudden there's a shift. It happens in everything. It happens in our fucking news outlets. Yes. Whoever owns the news outlet gives you their point of view of what the news is. And this is the same thing that's happening here. And it sucks. And I think for me, it sucks mostly for the people that are, buying it. And you don't have to buy it. So some people are going to be like, well, you don't have to buy it. It's $45. Whoever wants to buy it could buy it. Yeah, I get it. But you're still taking advantage of people. And then on top of that, you get new printings of issue 1 of that particular book. And, stores invest in that. And if it loses tracking, then they're stuck with all those issues. I guarantee you there's not going to be, third or fourth printings of issue number 2 and 3
Mhm.
because it'll die down by then. It's just
And it was just very weird that it happened to be 2 books 2 weeks apart from the same company. But now the ripple effect has happened again to a book coming out from Vault this week
yes,
called Nectar.
yes.
Yeah.
And that book was definitely ordered in low quantities. And that's what it is. It's a low print run book. It's already up on eBay for like, I think $55 or whatever it is, something ridiculous. And guess what? Somebody's gonna want to reserve it because they see it as a high price book when they can just go to their local comic book shop on freaking Wednesday and take it off the shelf.
If it's still there.
Oh,
But look, strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Let's hope all of this just evens out, shakes out, and people just, again, go back to comics for the entertainment enjoyment and the long-term speculation rather than the short-term. Otherwise, man, I don't know. What are we doing?
Yeah. Listen, stick to ratio variants that are, some of them are overpriced as it is, but those have low print runs for sure. But
better covers in a lot of cases too. Or, or like with any DC book, get a cardstock variant. You get 2 covers basically for the price of one until they figure out that debacle that they got themselves into.
Yeah, pretty much. But this whole speculation market, and it's its own animal, and I think it gets under my skin because it's not a part of the industry. It's an ugly part of the industry. Like everybody's out to make a quick buck off of somebody else, and it really does suck. And what suffers is the actual content. Like some of that content is really good, and somebody's gonna just fucking pick it up because they want to flip it and not really read it and stuff like that. And that book is gonna end up dying down, 4 issues in, if it makes it to 6 issues.
And look, Brett Bean's not seeing any of that extra dough from people flipping that dork number 1. The White Skies, Lee Lawfridge, those guys, they're not seeing any. They're not doing this.
Yes.
Denny's Camp happens to be lucky because he had 3 hit books, in the last couple years with Ultimates, Absolute Martian Manhunter, and now Bleeding Hearts.
Right.
But again, if there's a speculation aspect to it and then people don't continue to buy these books and these numbers, then the publishers look at the writer or artist like, you're the problem.
But that's the problem. That's the thing right there. They're not gonna last like that. You just don't know. It's crazy, but whatever. All right. Before I get heated, let's move on. So do me a favor, stay off of eBay. Don't support buying books that haven't come out yet. Better yet, you know what you do? If you see a book for $45 on eBay and it doesn't have a release date, find out when the release date is. If it hasn't happened, then call your local comic book shop and see if you can reserve a copy.
Yep, get those in.
Bypass that shit. Don't pay fucking $45 for issue number 1 that nobody knows about, and just get it from your local comic book shop. How about that?
Yeah. But you're right. You're right though. There will always be speculation. It is part and parcel. Speculation, like Peter Griffin said about The Godfather, it insists upon itself.
It's like a great line. All right, cool. So that's our 2 cents on that. And if you're making money off of that, I mean, you're making money off of it. Just I don't know. I can't say anything.
Sponsor our show if you're making money off.
Yeah.
Or use that money to go on Kickstarter and get Project Shadow Breed number 2. There you go.
Support us, assholes. All right, cool. That's all the news that we have for you. We're going to move on to reviews. We have quite a few, about 4 or 5. I think 4 or 5 books. So we're going to run through this. Some of them are from last week or the week before. Let you start off with the book from the week before, right?
Yeah, sure. So it's award season, and I got 2 movie related books.
Nice.
Last week IDW Dark gave us Smile for the Camera. This is a prequel to the Smile movie series, of which I believe there are 2.
Yep.
I have seen the first one, not the second one. I think I remember it, and I think I understand what was going on, but it was a while ago. So really quick, I'm going to get to the credits, which I have to say I do appreciate how they did the credits. I love like a good mock-up of an existing property, but they can't use it. So this is a social media page for one of the characters we're going to follow in this first issue.
My face.
I
like that.
Yep. So it has her details, her stats. And then at the bottom, there's like, song, mood, and then it says who I'd like to meet. And then it's the creator credit. So I thought that was cute. So story by Hannah Rose May, art by Mariana Puglia, colored by Dirba Kelly, design and lettering Brian Kolek, senior group editor Heather Antos, associate editor Bixie Matthew. So Hannah Rose May wrote one of my favorite miniseries from about a year or so ago called Exorcism at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And she is taking those scary happenings over across the pond. So she's also going to have another book coming out this month, The Exorcism at Buckingham Palace. So she's having a moment, and it's good. Good for her. I'm really happy for her because she's a very good writer. She does really good horror. She does really good character work. And I always say the best horror is solid character work. So this takes place in 2005. It is Fashion Week in New York City. And you basically have Cami, who we see her My Face profile that I showed you before. You're following her as she is on her plane, landing in New York City for Fashion Week with this big agency that she signed. She is 28 years old, a little old to be in the modeling game, and that plays a big part. And while she's on the runway, as they're about to deboard, she sees, one of the maintenance crew, baggage carrier guys. He's coming in on the cart, coming towards the engine. Looks at her. She sees it through the window. He's got that big creepy Joker smile that is, part of this franchise. So when somebody smiles at you with that Joker smile, that means not only are they cursed, but you're cursed now too. And then this guy immediately drives his thing into the engine and just shreds himself in the engine of the plane. And so that's sort of how you start, with a nice big gory bloody murder. So good stuff right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Let's see if you can get that. Yeah. So yeah, look at that.
That's in the propeller. Holy crap.
Yeah, yep. So she goes to the apartment with the other models in the agency, and we kind of also start to follow this other young new model who is doing this because she has a lot of student debt. She wants to be a veterinarian, so she's going to veterinary school. And she was basically told, well, become a fashion model. That'll pay off your debt. One gig, one cover, you'll be set and you'll be able to pursue your dreams as a veterinarian. And so the fashion world of about 20 years ago was a pretty strange place. And I did a little bit of work with a fashion studio or a photography studio that had a lot of these shoots. We hosted Fashion Week events, things like that. And so there's a little bit of inside baseball here, including a very veiled characterization of a very famous yet controversial photographer who was very big about that back then. Sort of an if you know thing. So you basically have Cami, who's sort of trying to get her gig before she is basically too old and put out to pasture. You have the other girl, Ivy, I believe her name is, the veterinary student, who is basically the hot new thing. So she's getting meetings with this very, popular photographer. He's making her offers to make her a star, but she's got to do a little bit more. So you have that sort of morality tale at play. But you also have Cami, who is looking at herself in the mirror, and she sees that scary smile come back at her. And so if you kind of know the trope, if you know the movie, you kind of see where this is going. By the end of the first issue, we will probably be following one other character over another. But I thought it was really fun. For its subject matter, aside from the fact that, yes, there were certain things that I could relate to because I know a little bit of that world from back then. But I thought the art was really clean, really nice, gory, but not overly gory, conveys emotion well, keeps the action moving well, follow, moves your eye across the page really good. Everything made sense. Everything really fit in this first issue. Even better, If you haven't seen any of the Smile movies, you don't need to read and enjoy and understand what is
Cool.
happening in this first issue. So yeah, IDW Dark, Smile for the camera. They are not done with their movie properties. Like there's one more. You know, they got the Twilight Zone series that's got one more issue to go. They have that Return to Sleepy Hollow book, and in the
Hmm.
back you get a very nice, chunky, extensive look at A Quiet Place Storm Warning. So they are now branching out into the Quiet Place franchise. So here you go. Smile
Cool.
for the camera, IDW Dark. Yeah, good stuff.
All right, fantastic. Check it out, guys. All right, I'm gonna move on to this one. This was gonna be kind of weird, but kind of quick. So I picked up this book for two reasons. One, I thought the concept was really interesting.
And it was
Sort of like
probably bad with
this.
the trading card.
It was. I got an okay one, but it also had a Mark Spears cover, which was pretty cool, right there
Yeah.
with the maid with the chainsaw. And so this this book just I don't know how to explain this book. I know it's manga inspired. So let me just start off with the creative team, right? So you got Maid Cafe from Keen Spot. This is my first Keen Spot book. I've never read anything from Keen Spot. I know you
Hmm.
have. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what type of books that do they publish a lot of manga stuff as well?
No, it's
No, no. Okay.
usually black and white, heavy cardstock, almost thicker newsprint type. From the stuff that I've read from them.
Okay, so this is the same deal right here. So cover stock, black and white interiors with a little bit heavier stock, almost newsprint kind of thing. All right, so this one is called Welcome Home Master, Chapter 1, written by Amy DeLong and Kazuo Watanabe. Adapted and illustrated by Remy Isu Makhtar. I'm sorry if I'm, demolishing your name. And the main cover is by Mark Spears. I don't know if this is translated from a manga that already exists. I tried looking it up, but I couldn't find it. But I was trying, it was really interesting to find out what a maid cafe is. Maid cafes are actually real. So I just need to read this to you really quickly. So, maid cafes, Meido Kisa or Meido Cafe are a subcategory of cosplay restaurants found predominantly in Japan and Taiwan. In these cafes, waitresses dressed in maid costumes act as servants and treat customers as masters, as if they were in their private home rather than cafe patrons. Fucking weird, bro, but awesome. Really. And that's what this is. So it was throwing me off because I didn't know if they were real maids or not. But basically, you have sort of like this origin story of this one particular maid from the cafe. Her name is Misa Amane. And you sort of like get this. They're in Japan. They're looking at the news on this, big jumbotron thing, and they see that there's this building that has two competing maid cafes, and she's in one of them. But they see her on the big screen, and there's blood all over and dead bodies, and she's walking around with a chainsaw. So obviously she's lost it. And then that's the first page that you open up to, and then it goes right back into like 10 years previous, and it shows her with her dad, and I guess her dad owned like a garden landscaping business, and she was using the chainsaw at that time, so she became very fond of the chainsaw. And then you kind of fast forward into her working at the maid cafe and sort of how she's getting treated. And throughout the book, basically things are happening to her where she's starting to slowly lose it, but she keeps her chainsaw in her locker. So at one point, she goes back to the chainsaw and is talking to the chainsaw, like almost losing her mind. And then another maid comes by and says, what are you doing? And she closes the door really quickly. Goes back to work. Some other stuff starts to happen, and she really starts to lose it. Like she wants to just grab the chainsaw and just start killing people, like she was doing at the very beginning of the book. So it ends abruptly at the very end where she sort of has like this Joker face, and then has a chainsaw in her hand with
Hmm.
all the stuff that's kind of happened to her leading up to this. So I believe the massacre is going to come. It's a 4 issue mini. It's manga inspired. What's really cool is that it's black and white, which I really appreciate it. So the lines are really cool. The artwork is really, really cool as well. It reminds me of manga, but you don't read it right to left. You read it American style, left to right. So I appreciated that because my brain would have just been even more messed up. But it's really dark and weird at the same time. So if you're into manga and you like sort of like that type of genre with the like lifestyle to murder mystery kind of stuff, then this would be right up your alley. It's not my cup of tea. I enjoyed it. My brain cells were really challenged on this one because I was like, what the fuck am I reading? And I think doing a little bit of research made me understand the content of this book a little bit more. So I think people that are used to reading this type of manga, they'll get it right away because it really feels like, the concepts that would be in like a Japanese manga and stuff like that. But I appreciated the art, and then once I understood the background of it, then everything that was happening here made sense. So yeah, if you like Mark Spears, check out that cover because it's really freaking cool. If you like manga inspired comics, then this would probably be right up your alley. And I don't have anything against. I mean, I love certain animes and manga, like not One Piece is probably something that I can't watch or read. But freaking One Punch Man, and a lot of a lot of that stuff is like really out there as far as concept. Like if you look at One Punch Man at face value, it's probably one of the most ridiculous things because you have this superhero who became a superhero, and his secret was this: he did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats every single day for 5 years, and automatically became the greatest superhero on the planet. And they call him One Punch Man because it literally just takes him one punch to defeat his opponents. So if you look at all of season one, he literally punches everything just one time and it's demolished, no matter how big it is and stuff like that. So the concept is just so out there, it's ridiculous, but it works. This one is out there. The whole cosplaying in the maid cafe and yeah, it was a bit of a stretch for me, but I could appreciate it for what it was doing for whoever likes the stuff. So check it out, Maid Cafe, Keen Spots.
It's interesting because the whole sort of Joker smile, murder spree, very similar a bit to the smile for the camera. It's very interesting.
Ah, cool. Yeah. All right, yours up next.
Yes.
Another. This is this is Image.
Yeah, Image Skybound. Yeah, so we talk so much about Skybound and the energy.
Wait, though. Isn't there one coming out for Dynamite? Isn't Dynamite doing a fan? No, I'm thinking something else.
You're thinking of the Phantom, right?
Yeah. Oh, this is the Universal Monster stuff.
The Universal Monster stuff.
Is all the Universal Monster stuff Image?
Yeah, it's all Image Skybound.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And so it's funny. I was like, why have we for some reason they've been doing this for a couple of years now. It was one of the first things I think that Skybound was doing, launched either right around or right before the Energon universe started.
Right.
But they have been doing these Universal Monsters, basically remixes, reinterpretations, extrapolations on the existing classic movies. So they led with Dracula. There was a Universal Monsters Dracula 4-issue. They're all 4-issue miniseries.
Right.
They did the Frankenstein. They did a Creature from the Black Lagoon. They did the Mummy. They did the Invisible Man. Now Phantom of the Opera. I think they still have where the Wolfman to get to as far as your classic pantheon of Universal Monsters characters.
They've not done a werewolf yet.
Not that no Wolfman yet. No.
Okay.
So I think that should be coming.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, they did that. Yep.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So basically, so this is Universal Monsters Phantom of the Opera. Now, here's the thing is, all of these Universal Monsters movies were based on existing novels for the most part. Some like Wolfman, Mummy, not existing novels, but lore, right? So Phantom of the Opera, like Dracula, Frankenstein, these are novels that have been in the public domain for some time. I don't know if you remember in like the early 90s, everybody was making a Phantom of the Opera movie because the stage play, the Broadway play was really big. And I mean, even Robert Englund got his own Phantom of the Opera movie in the middle of his Freddy Krueger movies.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, dude, look for that movie. It's one of the worst movie posters ever because they literally just took like him as Freddy and then just like cut and paste the Phantom mask on top of him as Freddy. It was really bad. So this is not an extrapolation, reinterpretation, remix of the silent Lon Chaney Sr. Phantom of the Opera, the one that skeleton face that we all know. This is the one with Claude Rains from 1943. And so what they've been doing with these is they're either retelling the classic movie versions, because again, this is the Universal Monsters, the stuff that is trademarked, not under public domain. So they're doing, so the Dracula one tells the story of that movie, but more from Renfield's point of view. Frankenstein introduces a new character that you don't see in the movie, but it's a character who's watching everything from the background, right? Invisible Man was more of a prequel. The Mummy and Creature of the Black Lagoon were sort of more like remixes of the existing material, kind of told slightly different stories, but using elements from the movies. So this is basically just a straightforward retelling, classic Phantom of the Opera story, as seen in the 1943 movie. It looks like the big hook here is it's going to be really more from the point of view of the detective Raoul, who, as he tries to figure out what is going on. But we do also get a lot of insight, a little bit more so, I think, than that movie, in a little bit of the relationship between the Phantom, or the ghost of the opera house in Paris, as well as his muse, Christine Daae. Again, if you know the story, you know the story. What's great about these, and especially I think this one specifically, Martin Simmons is the artist. He also did the Dracula one. This is written by Tyler Boss. Tyler Boss had big success with, what's the name of that book? Give me a second here.
How's the art?
So I'll get into the art in a second. Yeah. I just want to remember what his book was, that Tyler Boss has been written. I think it's, if I'm blanking, They're All Terrible. I think that might be him. But anyway, so Martin Simmons does a fully painted style. And I'm going to give you a nice, this is the title page. So this is your inciting incident of the book. You have the Grand Dame, the diva, the elderly singer, being hung from, as the curtain goes up, the rope is around her neck. She gets hung in front of the whole audience. And this is basically how you kick off this story. And as you can see, it's fully painted style, very reminiscent to me of Dave McKean, Arkham Asylum fame, this kind of stuff. A lot of, to me, John J. Muth, another fully painted style. A little bit of John Bolton, who was a very realistic painter style, but with all these really kind of lush, soft lines, but then the jaggedness of the colors.
There's what's his face too, Simon Krasinski.
Simon Krasinski can do that style as well. Yep. Yeah, we love him. Yeah. So aside from Tyler Boss and Martin Simmons, it's Becca Carey on letters. Again, no color credit because Martin Simmons is doing it all. Designed by Gillian Crabb, production by CJ Hahn, assistant editor Caitlin Chappell, and edited by Alex Antone. So yeah, this is something I call like old reliable. Right? It brings a little something new to an old familiar tale. It does it really well. It's gorgeous to look at. And all of these universe somehow, again, I think we were maybe at a pause when the Dracula one came out. Otherwise I would have talked about it. But yeah, these have been really fun. And
are they really connected or no?
No, just like the movie. Well, so again, the movies did become connected over time.
Right.
They're just doing the original versions of the movies. So no, they're all basically standalone. The only thing they would be connected to, would be the original version or the 1943 version specifically of this one, the 1931 Dracula from Universal Monsters with Bela Lugosi. So those are really your only connection. What's really good about how they're approaching this is if you're familiar with these movies, like a lot of people are, did great. If you're not familiar, really good introduction. You kind of get to read a comic that takes a different take on a very classic movie. If you haven't seen that classic movie, maybe this will get you to go check out the original movie version as well. Maybe it'll get you to read the original book, but yeah, we're specifically keying on Universal Monsters. Yeah. So really good, great line of stuff. Again, just something else amazing from Skybound that we haven't really talked about because the Energon Universe stuff has been so good and just so prescient on the shelves. But yeah, this is another great thing that Skybound is doing along with Skinbreaker as well, obviously.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Yeah, John, we love his artwork too. Pretty cool. All right, check it out, guys. Phantom of the Opera, Image Comics. Yeah, Skybound. For some reason I was blanking out. I couldn't remember who was actually publishing those books.
Yeah,
And I think I was confusing it with Mark Spear stuff because he's doing that Monsters book as well.
Yep. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so I've got two. I'm gonna run through them really quickly because, yes, just because. All right, so the Order of Saint Sophia. Let me just go into the credits. So, story: Catherine Hale, art and cover, uh, Heath Hale. So I guess this is a duo of sisters, maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's them two making this book. So in a nutshell, you've got the Order of Saint Sophia. These pretty much they're not nuns. They're assassins of an order of women. What was really cool about reading this book is that as you're reading it and being introduced to each one of the assassins, you get their name and then what their specialty is. So you have the main person that we're looking at. So her name is Sister Amelia Redhand. Her age. Once the order's most promising young assassin. Specialties: daggers and throwing knives. And then you move on, and then it introduces another one. Let me see if I can do one more. This one's Sister Tilda, Bare Knuckle. Her age, beloved novice mistress, specialty, hand-to-hand combat. Then there's another one who's like a seductress. There's another one who's like special in poisons. That part of the book I really liked because they weren't all assassins of the same thing. So you would use a specific assassin for a specific mission. But basically, you get a little bit of history of the order, how they've been protecting this town or this section of wherever they are called Toulon for over 500 years, and then so now you have this garrison that has been building to modern times to where they are, and the garrison is which is what keeps law and order in Toulon, really not wanting this order to exist anymore. So any excuse that they can get to disband these sisters, they will use. And so basically, we have Sister Red Hand. Is that right? Yeah, Sister Red Hand is assigned this mission, and she actually ends up not completing it. So basically, she was supposed to assassinate everybody in the mission, but one of the people that she was supposed to assassinate that was there was a young girl, and she couldn't go through with it. So she actually kidnapped the girl. So basically, what this gave the garrison, they found out that edge to be able to say to come into where they were at and disband them. So they were being disbanded one by one, and then being sent away with with parts of the garrison. So they were being distributed back into society and being assimilated back in, but they were being watched over. So it wasn't like they were set free. They were being put places. So, for instance, the main character, Red Hand, was now a maid at a particular manor. So she was working in the kitchen, and her overseer was there, along with somebody from the garrison who would be there to monitor to make sure that she was doing everything that she needed to do off of that. Some of them were like super tight ass, and they were like they had to give up their weapons and everything that they have. And one of them who bore an axe was like their specialty was axes and weaponry. She said, "I'd rather die than give up my weapon."
Hmm.
They shot her right in the head.
Hmm.
Fantastic. So it's really cool. It's a 4 issue miniseries, and it's really about what's going to happen with this banded, assassin of sisters, and how they're going to assimilate back into, and whether or not they're going to assimilate. There's been a murder of Red Hand's garrison lead, the one that's supposed to be taking care of her, and so that's how it pretty much ends. It was really cool. The pacing in it was really great. It gave you just enough backstory on who they were as a collected group, and then what was really at stake and stuff like that. It happened really fast. I probably could have got the if they squeezed this into like 40 pages, you would have got a little bit more back content on it, but it didn't bother me. The art is really clean. I don't know if you can see this, but let me see if I can open up wide over here. But really clean lines, almost
Hmm.
like an animated kind of feel to it. The colors are really matte, but they work for this book really well. Not a lot of speech bubbles in this particular one, but facial expressions are really cool. They're clean, like not overly complicated at all, and all the characters are very distinct. Let me see if I can find that one that was. She was a badass. She was like, "Hell no, you're gonna kill me." And they shoot her. Oh, here it goes right here. Boom, 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 boom. You can see that top panel. Yeah. She took off
Hmm.
her helmet and bam, they just shot her and her blood is splashing all over the place. So there was quite a bit of assassins and stuff like that. So it was a pretty much a big house
Hmm.
of them. So yeah, concept really cool. It's 4 issues. I'm invested. It's from Antarctic Press.
Okay, huh?
I haven't read anything of theirs in a really long time.
They haven't been around, I feel,
No.
in recent years. They used to be big in the 90s and early 2000s. They did a lot of manga style books like
Yep.
Ninja High
Yep.
School, Gold Digger. So this looks like it says up there what the Superverse. So
The
this looks
Superverse.
like to be a sort of a rebranding or a refocusing for them. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, and it is manga inspired because I got the apmanga.com on the
Hmm.
logo as well too. So yeah, if you like, I'm trying to think of that show what it was called, but there was like a girl that got put into not well sisterhood or whatever it was, and they were a bunch of assassins as well. But she had a particular power. They all had like power and stuff like that. So it kind of reminded me of that
Little
show.
Women, I think that Louisa May
Yeah, Little
Alcott.
Women,
Yeah.
exactly what it's called. No, not at all. But yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, it almost reminded me of Lady Mechanica as well.
Hmm.
Um, just a little bit. I think just kind of like the Victorian style that well, Benitez likes to use and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty cool. Antarctic Press, the Order of Saint Sophia. Check it out if you might dig it. 4 issues, not too bad. All right, last one for me. This one actually was a pleasant surprise. I like the cover. It almost reminds me of those criminal hardcover books, like those
Hmm.
covers and stuff like that. I'm not sure who's drawing those.
So it's funny. So this is Jason Phillips is on art. His
Yep.
father is Sean Phillips, who does Criminal with Ed Brubaker, the artist on Criminal.
Oh, really?
So that's why it looks similar.
Oh, that's what looks
Yeah.
similar. Okay, that makes sense. See, I never put two and two together. It's so funny.
Someone mentioned, I wouldn't have caught that because I didn't read the book, but somebody mentioned that in the store the other day. So I was like, oh, okay.
That's hilarious because I would have never put. I'm so oblivious that way that I never put two and two together. And I was watching something with who was it? It was not, it was one of the Liam Hemsworth
Mm.
and who's the guy from White Man Can't Jump?
Woody
Uh,
Harrelson.
yeah, Woody Harrelson.
Okay.
So it was him. They were talking. They were getting ready to talk about a movie that they were just doing, and the interviewer is like, "Yeah, your brother's just coming out with a movie, blah blah blah." And then he was like, "Yeah, yeah, it's doing well and stuff like that." And Woody Harrelson, who's your brother? He says, "Chris." Oh, Chris Hemsworth? He's like, oh shit, yeah, that's why you guys have the last name. I was just started laughing because he just realized that they were actually brothers. Oh, that's fucking great. All right, so this one is called The Peril of the Brutal Dark, an Ezra Kane mystery. That is a mouthful and a half. Writer Chris Condon, Jacob Phillips is the artist. Who else do we have on this letter? Is Otsamu El Ahu. We've had him on there quite a bit. And then you have all these variant cover artists and stuff like that as well. That you got I like Tula Latte. She's on
Mhm.
there as well. She makes some really cool. And Sean Phillips did a cover as well. Yeah, cool. All right, so murder mystery, private eye, archaeologist. It's got a little bit of everything in here, but basically you're following Ezra Kane, who's a private eye, who does have a history of being an archaeology student, and that comes into play later on. But you basically open up with these guys that are trying to on the island of Lemnos in Greece. This is opening up in 1913 because it takes place in like 1941. So
Hmm.
this is happening prior to this, and they're basically archaeologists that are looking for something. And what these guys are looking for is the anvil of Hephaestus, who was the blacksmith of the gods and
Mhm.
basically made all the weapons for the gods. So anybody who holds this anvil will have the ability to make weapons that you know gods can use to freaking destroy the world and stuff like that. So they find it, which is really crazy. They find it. It ends up in a museum later on down the road. But you have people that are trying to look for this, and it's called the Peril of the Brutal Dark because the Brutal Dark is sort of like this group of people that have a lot of money, but don't exist, if you get my
Hmm.
drift. So they
Hmm.
can get away with things. And one of the things they want is the anvil kind of thing. But you're following Ezra. Basically, he's a private eye. And you're following him on one of his pursuits for a particular case that he's doing. The art is really cool. The pacing's really great as well. I really do like the writing It's for the time. It's almost like I have to read it like I'm Dick Tracy. Yeah, yeah. You see me, copper? Because it's from the 40s, so it has that sort of like a aesthetic to it, and the art in it is similar to what we just saw. Not same wise, but simple. Like
Mm.
I love the use of negative space. I love the use of the blacks in this book as well because it kind of gives it the mood. Like if this was a black and white book, you would still get the same mood that you get in color and stuff like that. I think this would actually be a really nice book in black and white
Hmm.
because it'll read more. I have more of a noir feel to it in that respects. So yeah, so now you have basically Ezra being he's gonna pick up a new case. And basically there's gonna be a crossing of two cases that he's getting. So one where he's been invited to the museum. He meets with one of the curators there, letting them know that they've stole this particular product. They don't want it to get out because it's going to hinder their reputation and stuff like that. That's why they haven't reported it to the police, and they want to use him as a private eye. He was actually, I would say, he was referenced by one of his teachers, his old teachers, is the one that gave the name to the museum to hire him as a PI to find the anvil. At the same time, he comes out of the museum. He runs into a cop friend of his and stuff like that. And the cop is asking for a favor, saying, "Hey, I got this woman. She's an immigrant, German immigrant. The cops around here don't really want to help her, or whatever it is, because they got a lot of stuff going on." He's like, "She's got her husband missing over the last day or so and stuff like that. Is there anything that you could do for her?" So he's like, "Oh, my caseload is kind of full, whatever, blah, blah, blah." He says, "Listen, if you do this for me, then I'll owe you a favor." He's like, "Fine, just send it to my place by 6 o'clock and whatever it is." So this is where he goes to meet with the curator at the museum, comes back, doesn't realize, forgets that she's supposed to be there. There's a lady sitting there, and he takes out his gun, is about to shoot her, scares the crap out of her, and it's this lady. What we come to find out is whoever stole the anvil also kidnapped I don't know if it's a security guard or somebody that works there, but it ends up being her husband. So there's an interconnection between these two cases and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, and it's more exciting than the way that I'm explaining it. But it's really well written. I think this is also a mini.
Mm.
But I'm definitely going to keep up with this one. I want to see where it goes in
Mm.
regards to who the brutal dark people are, and how deep this goes in regards to the Greek mythology as well, to see whether or not the actual hammer does work, or is it just one of these things that an artifact? Because I believe the brutal dark, I don't know if they're associated with the Nazis or anything like that, but they're an underground group, and you got Nazis that are looking for it as well, because obviously they went through that period where they were looking for all these freaking like artifacts to
Mm.
try to win the war, um, and stuff like that. So yeah, so anything that has to do with, I'm not like you where you're big on like the history stuff, but when it comes to stuff like this, like mythology and stuff like that, I can kind
Mm.
of dig it. So yeah, you got detective, mythology, hooked in together. You've got me.
Yeah, I like it's sort of like this like old school Humphrey Bogart, like Maltese Falcon
Yep, yep.
merged with Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. I kind of like that. That's really cool.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping it doesn't go too Indiana Jones-ish because I don't need that.
Right.
I like the fact that he's a private eye and stuff like that, and if he keeps it along those lines. But yeah, the aspect of that archaeology from Indiana Jones, yeah, I love it. So, and it's another DC Vertigo title.
Yep.
So we read one. What we've up to like 3 issues, 3 different stories of DC Vertigo.
Bleeding Hearts, End of Life, Now
Yeah,
Peril of the Brutal Dark. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So they're coming out with some good stuff. So, all right, folks, there you have it. You got yourself some good reads for this week and from the week before. So you got Brutal Hearts from DC Vertigo. You got Maid Cafe, which is really out there. I would just pick it up to see if smoke some weed or take some acid and see if it gives you the same kind of feeling and stuff like that. From King Spot, you also have Phantom of the Opera from Skybound under Image. Smile for the Camera from IDW Dark, and then The Order of Saint Sophia from Antarctic Press. I have to say, we did have quite a few uh, different publishers.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
really
good.
excited about that. That's really great. All right, cool. I think I have a couple of more Kickstarters that I'm going to be reading through, so maybe I'll throw one in next week. I'll send you a copy because what I'm trying to do now is I think rather than getting hard copies, I'm trying to get digital copies because I can
Mm,
read those faster than the hard copies coming in.
yeah.
So as much as I like to support and get the hard copies, I'm running out of space in my home as well. Yeah, but whatever we'd offer a Kickstarter, I mean, we do that. Did you read the time sensitive stuff that I gave you?
Not no, no, not yet.
Dude, you got to read it, bro. It's
I know.
really good.
Yeah.
And I think issue two has just come out on Kickstarter, so I think I'm gonna get it because it was really that good. But
Cool.
whatever we read off of Kickstarter, if we recommend it, I mean, yeah, go out there and support these guys because it'll be really cool. With that being said, make sure you go over to projectshadowbreed.com because issue two just went live today. And like I said, if you didn't read issue one, there's a tier on there that allows you to catch up by getting issue one as well. If you don't want to do a tier that has both of the issues, you can actually order the issue number two, and then when you go to the next page, you can actually order issue number one cheaper and stuff like that. If that makes any sense, you'll see it on there and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's actually already supported us on there. And if you're thinking about it, head over to projectshadowbreed.com and get your copy of Project Shadow Breed. Like I said, it's all said and done. It's done. We just need to send it to the printer along with whatever rewards that we have. We made it a little bit smaller too. I think the only two rewards that we have on there outside of the books are actually I think issue number one we had Marek's military tags, and now we have Leroy's military tags
Cool.
on there as part of the reward. And then we had T-shirts and hats from the last one, but those are actually add-ons you can add on if you want to. But we have an actual indie creator comics coffee mug, which is pretty cool. I like it. As part of one of the tiers. And then we actually have two tiers that at the very end, they're kind of high end, but they're the original art board of the covers. So when I do the interiors and stuff like that, if I work on interiors, most people know that I do it digitally, but all the art board, all the covers that I do for books are all done traditional. So both covers are up for grabs as two tiers on there as well. So if you like, and one of them is an homage to Hulk 181. So
Yes.
if you're a collector of Hulk 181 homage stuff, that's going to be the tier for you and stuff like that, which would be pretty cool. I think maybe next week what I'll do is I'll put some of the covers up on here so that people can see that. But yeah, head over to projectshadowbreed.com, check it out, see if it tickles your fancy as well. All right, gang, that's all that we have for you this week. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast. Like I say every week, better yet, invite 100 of your friends to come over. I think we just hit, I think, our triple digit on subscribers on YouTube, which is really cool. But you can listen to us everywhere on YouTube, on Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us there. If you want to be on the podcast, you're a creator, want to talk about a project that you have coming up, indiecreatorcomics.com. Click on the podcast form link, fill it out. John and I would love to have you on. We're pretty much booked out for this month, but we're always looking at bringing more creators on. So yeah, get yourself on there. If you're on social media, which everybody these are, at Indie Creator Comics is where you can find us on pretty much every single social media platform out there. Last but not least, please, please, please support your local comic shops. We had a whole conversation about what part of the industry we don't like, but we had a really long conversation about a part of the industry that we love. And part of that industry is local comic shops. Without them, we would not be able to do what we love, and that is read comics every single week. John, where do you get your comics from?
Well, I get my comics at The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And at The Joker's Child, we do our best to carry as many of these indie comics as possible. Sometimes, though, when speculation runs rampant, it's very hard to keep them in stock on the day of release, but don't be afraid because we do our best to get them in on reorders or multiple subsequent printings. Don't dismay if you heard about a hot book and you want to get your hands on it just so you could read it. We got you covered at The Joker's Child, where the fun never stops. Can't make it to The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey? Then check out your local comic shop via your whatever your search engine browser thing is that will lead you directly where you need to go to get your comics at your local store.
All right, dude, you are so long-winded, but I love it. It is fantastic. All right, kiddies, that is all that we have for you this week. So we want to thank you for joining us on the Indie Creative Comics Podcast, where we are all about independent comics.